We're skeptical of the claims. Careful examination of the Darwinian theory should be encouraged. Any other field, you can ask the question, it deserves careful examination. They'd say, yeah, bring on the careful examination. It'll hold up, right? You think it'd be fine. Not this question. Don't touch that, because it's like a religion. Furthermore, when I, a nonconformist, ask proponents for clarification, they get flustered in public and confessional in private, wherein they sheepishly confess that they do not understand either. I have sat with Nobel Prize winners in my office, National Academy members, winners in my office, and I say to them, do you understand? Do you understand evolution from a chemical perspective? Can you show me how these steps occur chemically? Every one of them has said no. Every one of them. When I ask them in small groups, you know what they do? They don't say a word. They just stare at me. Because in a small group, they don't want other people to know that they don't understand. So, but remember, no answer is an answer in itself. Why is it that they don't say anything? What's going on here? Abiogenesis is the prebiotic process before biology, wherein life, such as a cell, arises from non-living simple organic compounds. They are carbohydrates, nucleic acids, lipids, and proteins. Proteins are polymers of amino acids. All this is needed before evolution can begin. So before evolution can even begin, you gotta have the basic molecules. You gotta have a cell. How do you get the cell? Well, the cell has to come from some non-living thing. How can that be? Before life, how do you do? I went back to the proposals on how they believe that the carbohydrates and all these chemicals were made. And I read the actual experimentals. They did it in very controlled conditions in the laboratory. And even then, they didn't even get many of the things that would be possible in a prebiotic milieu. Because many times they say themselves that what they got was the kinetic product. In other words, the material formed, but it only formed for a short time and then it transformed into other junk. That's the kinetic product. It forms and then it goes away. That's the way organic chemistry is done. You got to stop the reaction when it's done. But when there's no one there to stop it, it doesn't stop. It goes on to polymeric garbage. That's what it goes to. And then they ran it under very controlled conditions, up to 70 degrees C, and then cooling down and evaporating off the ice at 0.001 atmospheres. I mean, crazy for prebiotic conditions and carefully controlled conditions. Let's assume that all the building blocks for life, not just the precursors, and they've only made a few simple precursors, could be made in high degrees of purity, including homochirality, were applicable. For all the carbohydrates, all the amino acids, all the nucleic acids, and all the lipids. Let's further assume that they're comfortably stored in cool caves away from sunlight and away from oxygen where they would decompose, so that they're stable against environmental degradation. And let's further assume that they all existed in one corner of the Earth and not separated by thousands of kilometers or in different planets. And that they all existed not just in the same square kilometer, but in neighboring pools where they could conveniently and somehow selectively mix with each other. Now what? How do they assemble? Without enzymes, remember, there's no biology yet. Without enzymes, the mechanisms don't exist for their assembly. It will not happen, and there's no synthetic chemist that would claim differently, because to do so would take enormous stretches of conjecture beyond any that is realized in the field of chemical sciences. And if there's a chemist here, stand up, tell me I'm wrong. The dream team will not know where to start. Moving all this off Earth does not solve the problem, because our physical laws are universal. Last week, I was with another Nobel Prize winner. He gave a talk on modeling the functioning of an enzyme. And I walked up to him afterwards. I said, you know, I'm writing this article in Abiogenesis. Tell me, where does all this come from? And he mumbled some stuff. I said, let's be clear. Tell me where it comes from. He says, what did you write in your article where it came from? I said, I wrote, it's a mystery. He says, that's exactly what it is. That's what it is. It's a mystery. Heredity and environment. We feed the nihilism to which modern man is, in any case, prone. That the gas chambers of Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Majdanek were ultimately prepared not in some ministry or other in Berlin, but rather at the desks and lecture halls of nihilistic scientists and philosophers. But when you have large structural change from one organ to another, say, it is very hard to see how these molecular changes could have happened. You have to have structural changes in the DNA occurring that are so vast that it can't predict what it's going to get. Then it has to do that repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. How can I believe in the physical resurrection of Jesus Christ? I've spent a long time studying the physical resurrection. So this is an historical proof. And historical proof is not something you can put under a microscope. What you do is you look at evidence from eyewitnesses. You look at evidence from the times, and we use historical proofs to hang people, so they can be quite valid. What you do is you look at the consistency of the evidence from the times. You look at the writings from the times, how many of them there are, how many eyewitnesses there were, and how they corroborate between them. And if they corroborate perfectly, You know there's been collusion, because no two stories corroborate perfectly. When you synthesize all this together, and I have on my website, if you go to jmtour.com, on my website, under personal topics, audio files, under individual messages, in April of 2014, April 2014, I gave a talk at Rice University on the validity of the physical resurrection of Jesus Christ. Looking at the documents of the time, and it's got PowerPoint, PDF of slides along with audio, and I go through step by step of the veracity of the physical resurrection of Jesus Christ. It is an historical event that can be historically shown.